Trump warns World War III is not far away, determined to prevent it. According to CNN, when issuing the warning on February 19, Trump mentioned the conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. All over the world, I am taking swift action to end wars, resolve conflicts, and restore peace to the planet. I want peace, and I don't want to see people dying, the US president said at the Future Investment Initiative conference in Miami. Look at the deaths in the Middle East. Between Russia and Ukraine, we will end this. It is not in anyone's interest to have World War III. And it is not far away. I have to say right now, it is not far away. If the administration of former President Joe Biden had been in power for another year, you would have seen World War III. But now that is not going to happen, Trump added. Trump thanked Saudi Arabia for hosting the talks between the Russian and US delegations on February 18. The US president called the talks a big step forward. On February 19, Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had a war of words on social media. The US leader called Mr. Zelensky a modestly successful comedian and a dictator who doesn't hold elections. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian president accused his US counterpart of being trapped in a space of disinformation and covering up for Russia. Previously, Mr. Trump blamed Mr. Zelensky for igniting the conflict between the two European neighbors. I love Ukraine, but Zelensky did a terrible job. His country fell apart, and millions of people died unnecessarily. You can't end the conflict if you don't talk to both sides. So we hope to see a ceasefire soon and restore stability in Europe and the Middle East, Trump said, defending his decision not to invite Ukraine to the Russia-US talks in Saudi Arabia. According to RT, speaking to reporters in St. Petersburg, President Putin said Russian soldiers crossed the border and entered a new area in Ukraine. In St. Petersburg on February 19, Putin said that soldiers from the 810th Brigade had crossed the border between Russia and Ukraine and entered enemy territory. The Russian army is advancing along the entire line of engagement, Putin said, without providing further details. Also on February 19, the Russian Defense Ministry released a video of an Iskander ballistic missile striking Ukrainian artillery positions in the Sumy region. In addition, Russian soldiers piloted suicide drones into enemy trenches. However, the Russian Defense Ministry did not report any major advances in Sumy in its February 19 update. Meanwhile, Ukraine has released completely different information. According to Andrei Kovalenko, head of the Ukrainian Counter-Disinformation Center, the country's military destroyed a reconnaissance unit that deliberately crossed the border into Ukraine. He also denied that there had been a large-scale attack in Sumy. Since the early days of Russia's special military operation in Ukraine in February 2022, the Russian army has entered the Sumy region, but withdrew 2 months later. In August 2024, the Ukrainian army moved from the Sumy region to conduct a raid on Russia's Kursk border region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stressed that the offensive in the Kursk region would be used as a bargaining chip in potential peace talks with Russia. Initially, Ukrainian troops occupied several settlements near the town of Sudra in the Kursk region. Now, the area of territory held by Ukraine in Kursk has been reduced after a series of counterattacks by the Russian army. The Russian Defense Ministry said on February 19 that its forces had also liberated the village of Svedlikovo. We have taken many prisoners, a soldier from Russia's Northern Combat Group told RIA Novosti.